Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's a holiday, Tony, but we still have to work.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. On the bright side, there was no traffic on my way to the attic.
I bet not. What are we about, maybe day 150 in your attic? I mean, it's been a while.
It is a long time. I stopped doing the numerical charting of it.
You used to give it to us.
I just sort of feel like this is where we are for the rest of the time.
Yeah, where you
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Chiefs go down, Alex Smith goes in, and Dak Prescott goes out. But we begin today with the Lakers winning the NBA championship in a non-competitive game with Miami. The Lakers were up by 20 early in the second quarter, and at one point in the third quarter led by 36. It was an easy game to turn off. But it is the fourth title for LeBron James and his fourth Finals MVP for three different franchises now. So, Wilbon, what does this title mean for LeBron and for the Lakers?
Tony, it adds to LeBron's greatness. It just adds. And I'm not going to get into GOAT talk because I'm tired of it. I think it's just sort of lazy and a default position to get into. LeBron James is the greatest player playing today. And he's the greatest player who's been playing for the last decade, if not more. And so what he's able to do with a team and what he's able to do with mind and body at 35 years old is spectacular. He's in control of the game with his mind, and his body is still at peak efficiency, perhaps unlike the other great players who, if they made it to 35, were not in sort of peak condition at that time. So it's amazing what he and Anthony Davis and the organization did and what the NBA did by being able to stage these playoffs and reach this championship with no positive tests, with no drama, keeping attention as they wanted to also on social and cultural issues of justice. The whole thing was sort of amazing, but kudos to LeBron James and Anthony Davis and that team, and Frank Vogel
So I'm going to
well.
take the position that I've taken since the playoffs began, which was the Lakers were going to win, as I told you, because you never bet against LeBron James. This is a legacy title for LeBron James. He has done something that nobody else has ever done. He has been the best player on three different franchises in title-winning performances. He changed the sport forever when he went to Miami. It's different. It's just never going to be the same. This is incredibly triumphant for him because they missed the playoff last year. And I would say it's a big deal for Rob Pelinka, who people criticize because he went and got Anthony Davis. And without Anthony Davis, I don't know that they win this. So yeah, big deal for LeBron. I don't know what it means for the Lakers going forward. I really don't.
Well, Tony, I don't know that there's going to be a lot of upheaval this year, given we don't know when the season's going to start next, February, I think as late as March. I don't know how much movement there's going to be, how people can collect players and change their teams. And if they can't very much, the Lakers can tinker with their second five, their bench, whatever. But when they got those two to build around, and when you got LeBron to build around, they're going to start off as the favorite. They just are.
I just want to say this one other thing, that I think that it actually adds to Kobe Bryant's legacy as well. Because what LeBron has done in becoming another great player in that Laker line, that elevates, I believe, everybody who came before. And I'll go back to the Minneapolis Lakers. I'll go to Mikan and West and Baylor and Kareem and Magic and Shaq and Kobe and LeBron. And each time they win like this, everybody goes up a little bit. I have an amazing statistic for you.
There's an essay like that, Tony, that perhaps you should pay attention to this running on all platforms to speak to that very topic. 17 championships ties the Boston Celtics. Ties them.
Yeah. I don't watch essays.
I'm sure.
I write them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Over the last 10 years, 57 NBA Finals games. 57. LeBron James has been in 51 of them. That's staggering. Something.
That's staggering. Domination, Holmes. Let's move to Dak Prescott and his gruesome ankle injury. The Cowboys quarterback was carted off just past halfway through the third quarter after being tackled by Logan Ryan of the Giants. Prescott had surgery last night and is said to be doing well today with a hopeful recovering table of 4 to 6 months. The Cowboys won the game, Tone, but where does Prescott's injury leave the team and his future?
Well, I think the team is in better shape than people might think because Andy Dalton is their backup quarterback. Andy Dalton won that game. He went 9 for 11 for 111 yards. The two passes he threw down the right-hand sideline late in the game were things of beauty. People need to remember, he's just not some guy. He took Cincinnati to the playoffs 4 times. Now, do I think he's a long-term person in Dallas? No, I don't. I think Dak Prescott is the leader of that team, the most popular person on that team. I think he comes back. But, Mike, I think it ends up that he's franchised again. He turned down a 5-year deal worth $100 million in guarantees to bet on himself. I'm sure he'll bet on himself one more time, and he'll be franchised, and we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, Tony, I don't care much about where it leaves the Cowboys. I'm sorry. I don't care about the Cowboys. I was watching this yesterday live, and I tried to reach you immediately because you see this and it reminds you of some other things. And fortunately, not, Joe Theismann and Alex Smith, that it wasn't as serious as that, but it's serious. And it reminds me of Mr. Hayward on the Boston Celtics when you see the toe pointed one way and they've sort of blanked that out now, and him pointing in a different direction and the leg at 90 degrees, you just go, my God, and you think about the money and on the topic all summer, which we at times, you and I got tired of. Is Dak going to get his money? What's he going to sign for? And I guess at one point there was $100 million in guarantee on the table. That's not out there anymore. But if they franchise him like you say, and I hope so, Tony, that would be like whatever he's making now, 31 plus another 37 or 38.
You go up to 37.
And that gets you near $70 million, and maybe it can make you whole down the road in some sort of way. But this is why it's so perilous in football. It is so dangerous. It is so risky that if you don't get this when you can, you may not.
Let me just point out how terrible, again, the NFC East is. Dallas is on top at 2-3. They should have lost to 0-5 Atlanta. They could have lost to 0-5 Giants. Philadelphia has 1 win. Washington has 1. It's just awful, awful. We will stay with football.
Most of us don't care about it.
The 2 teams that most recently played in the Super Bowl, Kansas City and San Francisco, both lost yesterday. Kansas City was beaten at home by the Raiders, despite scoring 32 points. The 49ers also lost at home and lost badly to the Miami Dolphins. That game was 30-7 at halftime, and Jimmy Garoppolo was benched. Wilbon, which loss was more significant to you?
The Giants. The Giants, by far. The Giants lost to a presumed non-team at home. I mean, Kansas City, so what? They lost. I'm sorry, the 49ers. The 49ers lost to a non-team, Miami, on their home field. And I know that's not the usual home field advantage, but there's some advantage to that. There should be. So, no, losing to the Raiders if you're Kansas City, these are blood rivals. And nobody's going to win every time, even though each team can have a streak of 6 or 7 games here and there. But no, Tony, Kansas City wasn't going to go undefeated despite all the people who would say on every network, including this one, that they're going to win every game. They're not going to win every game. They weren't going to win every game. And the more significant loss is San Francisco's and Jimmy G and whatever's wrong with him. He wasn't ready to play yesterday, and I wonder if they're going to sit him down again.
So I agree with you completely on this. If I have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, I'm feeling good. No matter what the last game was, I'm feeling good about the next game. Actually, the significance may have been for the Raiders, who may actually be building something, because that's a big-time win on the road for them.
It is.
In fact, they took their buses on a victory lap at Arrowhead. The correct answer is San Francisco. And let me read you some numbers that are going to be frightening, okay? They're in the biggest and best division in football because they got Seattle and they got the Rams and they got the Cardinals. They've lost 3 times, Cardinals, Eagles, and Dolphins. Combined record, 6-8-1. The only teams they've beaten are 0-10, the Jets and the Giants. And Wilbon, let me tell you what they've got coming up. Their next 7, Rams at home, at Patriots, at Seahawks, Packers, at Saints, at Rams, Bills. They could lose them all. They could lose them all. They just got beat 43-17 by Fitzpatrick.
They haven't beaten the Division I opponent. They've beaten the NAIA in New York. New York. That's all they've done. That's why their loss is so much more significant. The Steelers and the Browns are both rolling. Steelers rookie receiver Chase Claypool scored 4 touchdowns as the Steelers beat the Eagles to move to 4-0. And the Browns are now 4-1 for the first time since 1994 after beating the Colts in their top-ranked defense. So, Tony, which AFC North team, AFC Central to me, had the most impressive win, Steelers or Brownies?
So good for Claypool. Good for him. He may be the next Hines Ward. I have to be honest with you. I was a little surprised that Pittsburgh didn't win more easily and bigger That game was close late in the fourth quarter. That was 31-29. That surprised me. So by default, I'm going to say the Browns, because as you say, the last time they were 4-1, Bill Belichick was the coach of that team. All right? Indianapolis comes in. They've given up 56 points in 4 games. The Browns hit them for, 32? After the Browns got killed, C-I-L-L, kill my landlord, where after that happened against Baltimore in game 1 where they got 6 points, Mike, they're averaging 38 a game. Now, I don't trust them, and I know you don't trust them, but they've got a big-time offense. They
got a big-time offense, Tony. They've scored, more than 30 points for those 4 games in a row. For all I know, it may be the first time since Jim Brown, as bad as they've been lately. But I will say this. Does it make sense to you that the Pittsburgh Steelers, which have won Super Bowls, plural, have not started 4-0 since 1979, the 4th Super Bowl year? Can you believe that?
No, I saw that, and my first reaction was this. What?
Yeah.
They're an annual
My first reaction was
team.
Research error.
Ben Roethlisberger had never started 4-0, and then the only thing I could assume, Mike, is there were a bunch of years when Cincinnati was good, and a bunch of years now that Baltimore has been good, and maybe the division schedule precludes him from going 4-0, but I was very surprised. Let's take a break.
Wow.
Coming up, was it defensible for Mike Zimmer to pass on a field goal and go for it?
No. How's that for ruining the tease? And we'll tell you how we felt watching Alex Smith return to the field for the Washington football team.
Freddie Kitchens not coaching the Browns anymore. Maybe this new guy knows what he's doing. Maybe.
Well, let's hope.
So many emailers ask the same question, so here is my answer. I'm flattered, but I'm happily married. Let's see what else people are asking. Let's get this. Here we go. Did Mike Zimmer, I can't wait for your answer. Did Mike Zimmer make a defensible decision to go for it on Seattle's 6?
No, Tony. I mean, it's 4th and 1, and you got to get to the 5-yard line. And, I know they've been running the heck out of the ball. And so if that's your answer, if Zimmer's answer is simply, we've been crushing it with the run game all night. Okay, but if you kick that field goal, and no field goal's more gimme than that, then you're going to be up 8. You're going to be up 8. You can't lose the game in regulation. Instead, Russell Wilson makes 2 conversions on 4th down, and that's why he's the MVP. Don't tell me about anybody else you got. It's Russell Wilson right now as a result of that drive, that 95-yard game-winning drive last night. Zimmer, no.
So it's not defensible. Would you fire him?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So let me take the other point of view for a second. When you're on the road, you don't go for the tie, you go for the win. If you get that field goal, it's 8. That's a potential tie situation. As you said, they have gained 201 yards on the ground. Zimmer is a defensive coach. He clearly had no particular respect for Seattle's defense at that point, and that's why he went to make the game over, to win the game. What is not defensible is Zimmer's defense, because as you say, Russell Wilson had 2 4th downs. On one of them, on a 4th and 10, he gained 39 yards.
I know, but it's Russell Wilson. And they didn't even convert the 2-point play. Seattle didn't. Once they tried one anyway, so Minnesota could have still won the game. Up 8 increases your chances to win.
How did you feel watching Alex Smith play?
Encouraged. I felt invigorated. I felt great. I was so happy to see him out there. As you know, Tony, I have really been an Alex Smith fan as we watch his wife and children there since college. That's when I met him, when I was covering college football, and I just thought he was one of the most delightful, engaging people I'd ever met covering college football. And he's been that as a pro. And he had this awful, god-awful injury. And I know there were people saying, don't even do it. You made all the money. You got this wonderful family. You don't need this. But I loved seeing him be out there and come back and play those snaps. And I don't care how bad the Washington football team is. I don't root for them. I root for him. And I told you, I felt, okay, there was nervousness, but I felt invigorated watching him out there.
This is interesting because the moment I saw him go in the game in real time, I switched off the red zone and I went to the Washington game to watch him. And I had a different reaction than yours. I was physically terrified for him. I saw his wife and kids in the stands, and my heart ached for them. He got sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
That Washington offensive line is terrible. Every time he went down, I thought his leg would break again. I honestly did. He kept throwing it quicker and shorter. He ultimately, Mike, he completed 9 passes for 37 yards because he had to get rid of the ball.
He has no line, as you said.
I'm glad he's physically well.
Yeah.
But it was like watching a car wreck. It was very, very hard for me.
Cheers to Alex Smith. Love him.
Enough email. Let's take one last break, but still to come. The White Sox fire Rick Renteria. Could A.J. Hinch or Alex Cora be waiting in the wings?
Poor Renteria again. And LSU loses to Mizzou. What's wrong with Ed Warrod and the Tigers? That was bad. That was a terrible impression.
Go Tigers. Well, they lost to Tigers.
Yours
the Tigers won that game. Mizzou is the...
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Samuel Adams from Boston with Love. Savor the flavor responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 50th birthday, Charlie Ward. Unlike Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, Ward made a decision to play just one sport. He won the Heisman Trophy and the national championship at Florida State in 1993, but turned away from football and towards basketball. The Knicks drafted him late in the first round, and Ward played 11 seasons in the NBA. His numbers were modest, 6 points and 4 assists a game. Ward was 6'2" and 190 pounds, but the way the NFL has gone with small, quick quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson, you wonder how Ward would have done.
Yeah, Tony, you know what's interesting? He made that choice. He made $34 million in salary as an NBA player. I don't know that if he'd gone to football, remember, we're talking a while ago, salaries were nowhere near what they are now. That Charlie Ward would have made that. I presume he's in one piece physically. Played on some pretty interesting Knicks teams that were involved in drama, didn't get as far as anybody wanted. I know not as far as you wanted. But Charlie Ward was a nice little player for some time in the league.
Happy anniversary, Matt Ryan. On this day 12 years ago, Matty Ice led the Falcons on a seemingly impossible 6-second, 2-play scoring drive to beat your Chicago Bears, who had just taken a lead 5 seconds before. Although Tom Brady is the active leader in fourth-quarter comebacks with 37, since Ryan entered the NFL in 2008, he has the most fourth-quarter comebacks with 30. Ironically, since the Falcons managed to collapse to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, Atlanta keeps finding ways to lose late. They're 0-5 this year. They've become a poster team for choking, so it's not surprising that their coach Dan Quinn was fired after yesterday's loss to Carolina.
Tony, there was some talk, particularly when he led his team to the Super Bowl and he had all these comebacks and he played well week after week, year after year, that Matty Ice might be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he'd get some consideration. But, man, the last couple of seasons, you talk about falling off the table. And then yesterday I watched a lot of that game. There were just some awful plays that he made. And you wonder now, can he reclaim it? Can he get it back with a new coach? Or any way at all?
And a melancholy trails to Joe Morgan. The Hall of Fame second baseman died yesterday at age 77. He was on the great Big Red Machine teams in Cincinnati that won 2 world championships and whose feared lineup included Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, and Tony Perez. Although Morgan was only 5'7", he was a 2-time MVP, a 5-time Gold Glove, and a 10-time All-Star. Morgan may have been the greatest second baseman of the last 90 years. He started with Houston and played 22 seasons in the majors, playing for the Giants, Phillies, and A's after leaving Cincinnati in 1979. His unique batting stance, making circular motions with the bat, then flapping his right arm like a chicken wing, is among the most imitated in the sport. After retiring in 1984, Morgan became a baseball broadcaster. On a personal note, he was a regular on my radio show, and he was a delight. In the last month or so, Mike, we've now lost Morgan, Lou Brock, Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson, and Whitey Ford.
Hall of Famers. First condolences to the Morgan family, including daughter Lisa, who has made up a lot of mugs like mine over the years for this network and gotten to know Lisa and enjoy her company so much. Joe Morgan was such a threat and so great and so diversely talented. GMs spent the next generation looking for guys like him, and it led to Willie Randolph, Frank White, Lou Whitaker, Alan Wiggins, Delino DeShields, Ray Durham, Harold Reynolds, my friend, who brought that notion up to me. Not an original thought, his, and a great one.
My mistake. He flapped his left arm, not his right arm. Big
Left
finish.
arm.
White Sox fired manager Rick Renteria. Are you surprised?
Tony, a little bit. I mean, that team was just coming into its own and made the playoffs. I know they didn't go out, and they went out in the first round, but still, yeah, I'm a little surprised. Braves and Dodgers tonight. Who do you like?
I like the Dodgers to win the series. I don't know about tonight. Max Fried was great in the regular season. I don't know. Rafael Nadal beat Novak Djokovic in straight sets for his 13th French Open and 20th major. Your thoughts?
That 20 ties it with Federer. Is there a changing of the GOAT argument or discussion we need to have tomorrow? Defending champion LSU out of the top 25 after losing to Missouri. Big deal?
He won 13 French Opens. Okay, there's no changing the guard. Is that a big deal? They lost all their players to the pros.
Save it for tomorrow.
Last one. Chargers at Saints tonight. Who you got?
Michael Thomas is out, Tony. Team discipline after a practice fight. I'm still going with the Saints, though.
Out of time, trying to be better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Now, to get you set for Monday Night Football, here's Susie Colbert and the Countdown Crew.